right, Shalom. I'm going to give all praises, honor, glory to Yahweh, Bashim Yahweh Shah, Bashim Kakwadash. Second, I want to give double honor to our apostles, the GMS, that rule of well. And peace, blessing, salutation to the hopefully elect. That consists of you so-called Negroes, Latinos, Hispanics, Native Americans, West Indians, which makes up the 12 tribes of Israel that has been found today. Into the, what you want to call it, can't think of the word. The Israelite fund, Salaki, they look like the other nations. This is Shakwakara from GMS, Virginia, coming back at you again. Lord's will you be edified. And what inspired me to do this lesson is the brother, the elder Shaquat from GMS, Mississippi. GMS dedication, subscribe and be edified. And I was watching his video. He made a account and brought out some vids, and pretty much the what you might call it, the state of the American people. You know, the state of the American people, so-called American people, are on the brink of crashing out and losing it. And what they believed in, the system, the parties, the left wing, the right wing, democracy, Republican, and all these legislations and policies and ideologies and philosophies, which these people have believed in. We understand, you know, you read, Jeremiah, Isaiah 47, Revelation 17. It talks about, how this infrastructure had pretty much bamboozled the people and tricked them and gave them wine to drink, strong drink. And that's why the scripture talks about, they stagger but not with strong drink. These ideologies, these philosophies, this dead end hope. That's why the scripture said, woe to them that trusteth in man. That roughly paraphrasing, I get it. But I'm gonna read this first. And what's another scripture I'm trying to think of? I can't remember right off top, but this is Wisdom of Solomon 13:10, and I'm gonna go all the way down. Because you're starting to see, these people, really losing their hope and their pride that these Americans had of the American dream, the American society, is about to crumble. And when you read, I believe, Sirach 13, let me get this real quick. Dreams. KJV Sirach 34. Let me see something. All right, so it says dreams are vain and deceptive, similar to chasing a shadow or the wind. States chapter 34, Sirach, that hope is based on dreams or false, and one should not put their trust in them unless they are sent directly from Yahweh Shah. And we understand these people don't even know the power of the Bible. So you get the point. So let me go into this is in the GNT, Sirach 34 and GNT. Let me see what it says. Dreams mean nothing. Foolish people are deceived by vain hopes, and dreams get them all excited. A person who pays any attention at all to dreams is like someone who tries to catch shadows or chase the wind. And it's a video. Damn. Lord's will. I'm gonna play that channel. Not in this video, but upcoming video. I'm gonna play that channel. I gotta remember it. But it pretty much goes back into a lot of videos of the 1950s, 60s, 70s, 40s, etc. And it talks about how it shows like the American dream, and what a lot of Edomites, they want to go back into the 1950s and the 40s, but we know when you go back into those times, that was that was the Jim Crow era. So Edomites had an upper hand. You Negroes could get really severely hurt, and things, very bad things could happen to you. 1950s, that was right after the year which the Jewish people got the homeland and went into our homeland and took accompanied, or no, Sadak occupied Jerusalem. So a lot of pretty much lies and deceit was pushed out there, so you could take your focus off what those Jewish people did. So it says a person who pays attention at all to dreams is like someone who tries to catch shadows or chase the wind. And that's what the so-called, the bankers, the elites, the Jewish, the Israelis, that's what they pretty much try to push upon the American people, an American dream. So you won't hone in into their deceit and their bullshit. What you see in a dream is no more real than the reflection of your face in the mirror. What is unreal can no more produce something real than what is dirty can produce something clean. Dreams, divination, and omens are all nonsense. You see in them only what you want to see. And these people want to see the abundance in that American dream. And when you really look at the American dream, what the fuck is it? Greed, lust, the flesh, doing everything against the Bible, the law, statutes, commandments. Esau really pushed a liberal mindset, and a liberal mindset is pretty much living of the flesh and doing what you want, do as thou will. So it says, unless the Most High has sent you the dream, pay no attention to it. Dreams have misled many people. They put their faith in them only to be disappointed. So that's what has happened. Esau has pretty much given you so many dreams and philosophies and ideologies. Now look at you as a nation. Now look at the American people. They always, the melting pot, love and no hate and etc. So, it's a bunch of things. But going back to Wisdom of Solomon 13:10, but the most miserable people of all are those who rest their hopes on lifeless things. Then this whole system is geared off of ideologies, and when you understand what America is all it is the rebirth of the Roman Empire, just by times 100. So it says, who worship things that have been made by human hands, images of animals artistically made from gold and silver, or some useless stone carved by someone years ago. And when another thing too, America pretty much is going into that same state of Nimrod, the one world government. Everybody will be one. Everybody will go into this one world governing system, which Esau, the so-called white man, and the so-called Jews, is pretty much on the top front and on the powerhouse, and ultimately it's going to lead into World War III. A skilled woodworker may saw down some suitable tree, carefully strip off the bark, and then, with skillful craftsmanship, make from it an object that will serve some useful purpose. And everything here in America goes back into idols. A lot of people don't understand. A lot of people don't realize how demonic America is. Because pretty much you've been beguiled to really love this society and see no harm in it. That's why now, everybody's getting bent out of shape, because now they're realizing, like, hold on, something's just not right here. But it's too late. It's too late. He will take the leftover pieces and use them as firewood to cook a meal that he can sit down to enjoy. But among the scrap wood, he may take one piece that isn't good for anything. Maybe it's crooked and full of knots, and carefully carve it into his leisure time, using spare moments to shape it into the crude image of a person. And overall, what Esau does, he's pretty much, he uses his pseudoscience and his technology to make it seem, as if this system, which is all enwrapped in Roman, Greek, Nimrod, Babylonian, Assyrian, Egyptian, and Sumerian ideologies wrapped in one. And these people are so engulfed in it, and there's so many ideologies, is that, the fact that Esau can throw up a word amongst the world, like the word narcissism and etc., and now everybody just gravitate into it. And then, instead of people really understanding and breaking that down, they just say it. They just say it with the intent to really just make a point, but really they're not making any point. So that's just how Esau has engulfed these people. Esau can just throw something on TV, something catchy or something that has a phase or a trend, and these people will just run for it and take it. And when these people not knowing, majority of the time, it goes back into idol. And again, these people are so broken, hurt, distraught, evil, have become so broken that really they want to see misery of other people. So what has happened is these people have pretty much how you say it, instead of coming together, they rather just see the pain of another person. That's what ultimately is going to go back into the gladiator days, when the people would, the bread and circus, when people would what you would call it, gather around and see gladiators fight, etc., to the death and bloody. That's why, when something happens, an accident, a police pull over, or just something that happens out in the world, somebody shootout, whatever, it just stops everything. Nobody really, they really don't care. They actually really kind of what's the word? Enthusiastic by it. People are nosy. People are just, they act as if they really care, but really they don't. They really get off on it, of your misery. And that's, it goes into the scripture, the love of many shall wax cold. So it says, or maybe he paints it all over with red, covering up every flaw in the work. Then he prepares a suitable place in the wall for it and fastens it in a place with iron nails. And this system is very fastened. The fact that nobody really talks about how America would be destroyed, and they don't want to believe it. Why? Because how Esau has fashioned this infrastructure, this society. It says he is careful to keep him from falling. See that? And one thing Esau does, he doesn't want the people to realize that America is falling, Babylon is falling. And it's pretty much it's a collapsed fall, it's a perpetrated fall that he's using to bring in a new system, because ultimately this was the goal, this was the plan, to ultimately bring everybody to their knees, collapse the dollar, bring down the power, and make everybody dependent on the system. The Jewish people have control, do their wickedness behind closed doors, cause ruckus, take the peace from the earth, fund wars, break all the surrounding nations, and then ultimately try to make a cahoots with them, but ultimately being in control and being a powerhouse and bringing havoc and pain in against the other nations, China, Russia, etc., basically trying to break them down. But the scripture talks about how Gog and Magog shall rouse up, roughly paraphrasing, because going back to the Soviet Union, those days, it was very tense and very crucial, and thus, even those so-called Russians that are there in the land today, it's been a big grievance against America in in Russia. Esau, those Edomites here in America, they're poking at bear. So it says, then he prepares a suitable, so like 16, he is careful to keep it from falling because he knows it is only an idol and needs help. The system, it cannot help itself. That's why ultimately Israelis, the Jewish, America on the left hand side, the left hand side has been given power to it has been uplifted and lifted from on the left hand side through Yahweh Shem Yahushua, because it was already prophesied, but ultimately it's going to fall down. And if you don't believe in this, well, really, it's only for the elect. But a lot of people are really blotting out the fact that we got the truth. We're telling the truth. We're coming from the Bible. We're coming from the scriptures, and everybody, some certain people, they take their talking points and they fashion it like the Hebrew Israelites, but they don't give credit to us. They try to make their own platform. They're trying to make their own ways of making money, sound witty, sound as if they got it or they're some type of leader. But really, in all, you're just you're fronting. It's not in you. But it says but he is not ashamed to pray to this lifeless thing about his marriage, because that's a big thing that's going on. There's a lot of problems with men and women. His children, oh man, and his possessions, because what's going on? A lot of people are losing their possessions, and their children have gone crazy, and they pretty much have lost their children. They have no structure, no order in the house. So these people are doing what? They're going more into the system. They're calling out. They're crashing out. And they're going into, these certain, a lot of, another thing too, what the hell you call it? Those palm readings. And a lot of like left-handed shit is going on as well. People are trying to get readings, etc., to try to see what the hell's going on. People are calling upon different idols and etc., especially our people, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, Hispanic, Native American, West Indians. But, you other nations, this is not for you. You're going to be destroyed. So it says, it is weak, but he prays to it for health, because a lot of people are sick. A lot of people are going crazy. Their mental is breaking. It is dead, but he prays to it for life. Everybody wants to go back to that old way, that old, the abundance days, the 1950s, the American dream. People are yearning for them old times where they had money. They could, they can just do whatever they want. So it says it has no experience, but he prays to it for help. It cannot walk, but he prays to it for a successful journey. See, people want those money. See, people want that money. People want the jobs. People want, to get back to where they were, where they can manage and, spend in abundance and not really think about what they have bought, etc. Its hands have no power, but he asks it to help him in business, because what? The doors are closing. There's no work. There's no jobs. To open up a business is grievous. You don't have no money. But again, you're putting your hope in this society. You're praying to something that's dead. You're yearning for Esau to turn back and help you. And that's why the scripture says, though my people, what is it? They covet, they put on another flesh. Roughly paraphrasing, would to them that go down to Egypt for help. The scripture says the mirth, the gates, the things of this society is going to close, and this is what we're seeing. But that's why I'm gonna just quote Psalms, the first chapter, Psalms 1, the first chapter, and read the whole, if I'm not mistaken, you can read the whole chapter. And it pretty much goes into how beautiful it is that, we got the names, that we are laboring, that we are sacrificing and putting in this time for Yahweh Shah, because we will prevail in these dark, serious times. So it says its hands have no power, but he asks it to help him in business, in making money, and in his work. And see, in this infrastructure, more so ultimately, Esau is going to have it to the point where he's going to give you a ultimatum, but it's going to be the motb, But these people will crumble. These people will stick their hands out, and they will be willing in that day, because what? These people claim that they love God, they're Christians, etc. But again, it's a dead idol. It's philosophies. It's an ideology, and what you believe in is not real. And who you done mocked and scorned at, the real Hebrew Israelite who have the message from Yahweh Shah, that you scorn, that you mocked, and you try to pretty much blot your ears, and especially our people. You didn't take in consideration that, we got the truth. And what's going to happen is, as things progress, these Edomites are going to bring in a new system, and you people will fold, just like you people folded for the JAB. But Lord's we've edified. I'm going to wrap this thing up, and with that, I'm going to say shalom.